Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech with Eros podcast. This happens to be our first physical podcast, and all thanks to Cafe One for making this possible. And big congratulations to the team members of Tech with Eros because, yeah, we are actually improving on what we are doing. So, for those that do not know what Tech with Eros is, Tech with Eros is majorly like a tech podcast that gives out information relating to tech. So what we do is we bring tech experts to come share information on tech so as to educate people that are newbies or people that are just still trying to grow their tech career. Um, yes, and here with me is Korede Moshood. Our podcast for today is going to be on balancing technical expertise and managerial responsibility. Insights from engineering manager. As you all know, I am your tech host, Iro Inkechi Omolola. Welcome, Korede.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. Okay, so briefly, can you just introduce yourself? Tell us about you.
Okay, cool. Yes, my name is Oluwakorede. They shortened my name earlier on. So I basically lead engineering for Sintai, which is a supply chain startup. I also run my own food tech startup, Comestibles. So basically, I'm fully invested in the food and the supply chain space.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. The funny part is, I think when your profile was out, there was this actual question I got, and I think I would like to share first before diving into the main questions. And it was more like, where do you derive strength from being an engineering manager in a particular space and also owning a particular
Yeah,
product?
yeah. I mean, for me, it's all about the impact, right?
Okay.
I think that's like my driving force, right? And I love building stuff. Like that's really what makes me wake up early in the morning, make me stay late at night, trying to get things done, right? So I love making impact, and I also love building stuff. It's what drives me.
Okay, thank you. And let's drive straight down to main questions. Our first question here is, how do you prioritize between staying hands on with technical tasks and managing your team effectively?
Well, I think one thing that you need to realize as you transition to a more management role as an engineer is that your team comes first, right? So I'll be able to manage this is basically ensuring that my team is unblocked throughout the whole day. Because I mean, if they are facing one issue or the other, I can't do my own technical tasks, right? So prioritizing your team first, right, and then using the remaining time or blocking out time for your own technical tasks is one way I've been able to like balance both of the responsibilities.
Okay. Okay, with this actual question, there is this case whereby you might have like a particular deadline, right? Based on you trying to fit in both talking to stakeholders and also your team members. So you have this particular deadline and you're trying to meet up, which we all know that, okay, it's a little bit too difficult in that aspect, but you also need to keep up with the deadline. What do you do in that aspect to make both parties
So,
deliver?
I think one thing that we all have to know in life is that nothing is certain, right? Even deadlines are not 100% certain, right?
Okay.
So what makes things go smoothly is communication, right? So if you have various stakeholders and you, due to one reason or the other, due to external factors, internal factors, your deadline might overshoot, right? So communicating with stakeholders well ahead of time that this is a possibility will reduce whatever friction that might come from missing out on deadlines or a task not being accomplished. Also, very high priority to actually never miss deadlines. So, like I said, if you prioritize properly,
Okay.
you would ensure
Priority.
that those high priority tasks do not miss the deadline. Any other thing can really be communicated across the stakeholders.
Okay. Well, have there been any case whereby you like as usual communicate to stakeholders, but because they also have it that they just want like it to be delivered and you have like a clash or an issue? Have there been cases like that or it has always been smooth?
Well, I mean, nothing is nothing's 100% smooth, right? Obviously, yes. There've been cases. I think I remember a case where we had to present something to a client, and the deadline was fast approaching. But due to one issue or the other, we were unable to meet that deadline as at that time, right? So I mean, because I communicated in advance, the meeting with the client had to be moved by like an hour forward, right? And the client knew about it. It's not like client came and was waiting and stuff like that. So, like I said, if you communicate, even if things don't go according to plan, all stakeholders, nobody will be angry. They might be angry with you, but I mean, everybody will be able to adjust, right? So,
Okay. So this is now based on your personal person and your work life. So have there been cases whereby on the norms you're not like really like your personal stability is not really that intact, and then you also need to manage teams that this case you also don't need to put in your personal feel about things when you're trying to manage, and you have pressure coming from the stakeholders. How? Because I really want you to not just give us like the surface. I want you to go deeper. Yeah, that's what we want to hear, because there are cases whereby engineering managers are watching and they also face this issue. So they want to also have the feel of they are not the only one in this kind of situation. And it's a normal thing because you have your own personal life, which you maybe you have pressure or something, and you are trying as much as possible not to push it on team members, because there are cases whereby team members don't know, they just feel that this boss is wicked, not knowing that it's coming from the higher authority as per you need to deliver, things are not working. So cases like that, how do you, I really want you to like enter that deep. Don't make it too soft for us, please.
okay, yeah. So obviously, I've been in a case where there's a lot of pressure, right? And maybe I'm also personally going through one thing or the other,
Okay.
and trying to just balance all of that out. So one thing that helps me is, I think, like I said, communication is key in all of this, right? So there's
But there are
something
cases
that
whereby you might communicate and the communication is not going anywhere.
yeah. So there's something I implemented of this time with my team
Okay.
every week where I ask how everybody's feeling personally and professionally. So that kind of creates like a context throughout the entire week. So if you know someone, maybe someone is married and maybe their child is sick or something, you know that okay, this person might not be so responsive to me throughout the entire week, or the person might be on the edge, right? That way, everybody in the team has some context around everybody's personal life or things going around them, so they know how to approach one another, right? And the same thing also works for me, right? Because even when I speak to other people on my management level, we also share how we're feeling personally and professionally. So there's something off somewhere, everybody's able to know, oh, this person, okay, just give him time or let him just be, right? Also, in terms of dealing with pressures from other stakeholders and passing that down to your team, so as much as possible, I try to shoot my team for that from that, right? But also, I try to make them know that okay, this is what we need to do, and how do you think we can go about it? So it's not about engineering managers like forcing things down the throat of people under them, right? It's about collaboration. So if you ask your team, okay, we have this task to achieve, how long is it going to take you to achieve it, right? That way you're making them responsible, right? You're giving them that 100% responsibility to take charge of whatever task has been assigned to them. Because if you give them deadlines, there's more probability that they'll miss it, right? And you can't really hold them accountable because they were like, oh, okay, it's you that gave them a deadline.
They did not
But
put in the
if
effort.
someone gives you a deadline, you cannot make the person responsible and hold them accountable for that particular deadline. So it's really important as engineering managers that people under you don't give them deadlines. You ask them how long will it take you to do this task. I mean, sometimes it can be outrageous number of days, then you cannot step in. But most times, if you have really good engineers in your team, you will definitely get the best answers, and you just trust them enough to do things within that deadline. So that's the way I'm going to avoid any headache, and also like collating all those deadlines and going back to the other stakeholders and saying, okay, this is how long it's going to take you to do this, right? So yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to be holding you tight now on this question. Okay, first is Corey happens to be my engineering manager because I work at Centerlight too. So yeah, that's why I'm going to be holding my boss right now. Okay, so I should I say over the months that I've been working, right? I've not really, I don't know if it's weird, but I've not really experienced you getting angry, right? I've not really experienced you experience a situation where you are really angry at someone and you are like, I'm not happy with the way this are not in place, blah blah blah, this blah blah. Is it that everything has always been smooth from because I the reason why I'm asking is I get to hear from developers when they say Gbazbos in the company, like you hear developers say, Omo, I received Gbazbos from my boss today. But it has not been like a case at Sinterlight. So has it been like that's always been smooth, or it's just you personally knowing how to manage how you approach things and you feel it's because I really want to know that is it that everything is just
Okay.
yeah, we know we have developers that are working, but there will be a case whereby you just feel like lashing out on someone or saying something.
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, I don't believe in basketballs.
Okay.
Let's clear the air on that, right? I don't believe in basketballs. Secondly, I don't know how to shout. Like,
True.
I don't know how to shout, right?
True.
So, and I believe that shouting doesn't achieve anything, right? And it's something I've, even in my personal life, I've lived by, right? So basically, I believe that I should not transfer aggression to my team because it only escalates this current situation of things. It can't go better from that. It will always go worse from that. So that consciously, I mean, obviously I'm human. There's sometimes when you're like, oh, this thing, like, I mean, you can do better, right? But I just take that deep breath in and do some introspection and then come back in a calmer state and tell the person,
Based
okay,
on to do.
this is what we need to do in a very calm way. And I always achieve the best result that way. So I mean, that always worked for me. So
There's no need
why would I
that
start with
goes.
that goes, right? So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, but aside engineering managing at Centerlite, have there been cases whereby you've also worked as an engineering manager elsewhere?
So I mean, for my business, I lead other people, right? So I
Okay.
have people that work under me,
Uh,
and I mean, from time to time, obviously, like you have to step in and course correct. Okay, they're not doing things the right way. You have to call them. You have to keep tabs on them. Things like that, right? So obviously, like all of that has kind of taught me how to do a lot with people, right? And understanding. So one thing I try to do is most times when I'm dealing with people is try to understand the situation of things or the context around their current situation at that
okay.
particular point in time. So take for example, if someone says something to me, I don't just take that as a surface level. I try to say, okay, why did this person say
Say
this?
that.
Was the person having a rough day? Was the person sad about something? Or there might be something going on in that person's life, right? So I try to find out that first before I not make a decision that okay, this is like this is what you have to do. This thing you're doing is not correct, right? So yeah, so that has really helped me with dealing with people, even outside being an engineering manager and just general business
Okay.
um, things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. But over the years now, have there been cases whereby you have to solve conflicts, handle conflicts, cases like that
Yeah, I mean, I think as recent
between
as
teams?
so maybe not within teams, but within teammates, right? People under me.
Okay.
So maybe as recent as 6 months ago, so I had an issue where someone came across to me and said this other person was trying to blame them for not doing their job right
Okay.
or trying to call them out, and they felt really angry about that and the rest. So yeah, obviously there have been issues where I have to sort out conflict within my team because I mean I can't be running a team where two people don't
I know
like each
it's
other,
here.
right? So basically, what I try to do is also try to make everybody calm, right? I don't try to take sides, right? I try to make everybody calm and try to just get to the root of the issue. Most times, you're finding out that there's really no issue, right? Like it's just somebody being on the edge, and another person overreacting to that, right? So making both parties understand that this thing is not that deep, right? Like you guys should calm down. It's not that deep. Like has really helped
A
in
lot.
sorting out like conflicts. Yeah.
Okay. So next question. How do you foster a culture of technical requirements with business goals?
Okay. So obviously there's a business goal where the business wants to make money, business wants to get customers, they want to get things done on time. But obviously there's technical requirements whereby, for example, you want to build a new feature. I mean the CEO might say they want it in a day or two. But as the engineering lead, you know that that's
Not
not possible,
possible.
right? So you have to explain
Okay.
how this is not possible, and sometimes you have to come to a compromise, right? Okay, so if we reduce, maybe if we remove this particular component from the future, we'll be able to release this thing on time, right? But being transparent enough to other stakeholders. That's okay. This feature is going to take us 3 days to build, and you want it to be done in 2 days. Okay, so what do you think about removing this component, moving that component, so that we can achieve your timeline, right? Will it affect the quality of the product? I mean, as long as it doesn't affect the quality of the product, then I just kind of cut out those things, right, so that we still meet like the deadline, right? And I also make my team become aware of the fact that okay, this has been given as deadline, and we need to like meet that deadline. But these are things that are not important. So if it's blocking you, just leave it alone and continue with the main things, right? So that's been one way to balance like technical requirements with business
Business
goals,
goals.
essentially. So I mean, just being transparent to other stakeholders that this thing you're asking for is not going to take you. It's not going to work,
In
right?
2 days.
We need some time, but if you want it to work, these are the consequences. So everybody is now like it's like you're putting the choice back
To
in the
them.
ball, like putting the ball back in the court of the other stakeholders. So that's one way I've been able to like deal with things.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering that question. Um, have there been cases whereby, as an engineering manager, you get to work with product owners, product managers, um, and the stakeholders as a whole? But there is this part that the product owners are the one majorly like owning the product, right? So, have there been cases whereby there is a particular product idea that they want to drop, but to you as an engineering person that is going to provide that product technically, you just know the idea is no idea in, like it's
Yeah,
all
yeah, definitely, definitely.
so.
There be cases like that. I mean, where I work, there's a product team definitely, and they come up with product requirement documents and all, and being able to now like have like a middle line. So one of the things I try to establish early on is that this product requirement documents, it's I don't try to leave it to the product team alone.
Alone.
So I have my own inputs right from day one,
Oh,
right? So
interesting.
that ensures that it's not like oh product team now does PRD and they just dump it on you and like we are going to do this and then you're like oh this thing cannot work and there's conflict, right? So the process of creating that PRD, I'm involved in
You're
it, right?
involved.
Process of brainstorming about the ideas, I'm involved in it. And that's one thing also about being in a very good management team or
Environment.
because when everybody understands everybody's roles and responsibilities and where their inputs are needed, it kind of just makes sure that things move really, really, really smooth, right? So
So you're saying now that it's always best that engineering managers are always involved while
yes,
creating a
yes,
product
exactly,
requirement.
exactly. Because I mean, you may not exactly have a super technical product manager, right? So they need to understand, oh, this thing doesn't work from a technical standpoint of view, right? So if you don't provide that input, you just leave the responsibility alone to them. I mean, they are responsible, but you're given like a supporting role,
To them.
right? So if you leave that alone, you end up having conflicts where they're probably expecting you to do this to implement it already in their head, and you're like, oh, sorry, this
It's
is
not
not possible.
possible.
And, I mean, they're not that back and forth.
Okay, but I've had cases where like whereby they tell you that nothing is impossible with tech. I think I get that a lot. Like everything tech can make everything.
That's a very big myth too, because
Everything is possible. It's not tech.
there are some things that are impossible with tech. I mean, you can't bring someone back to life with tech. So,
Okay.
but yeah, on the lighter note, I mean, like when you say something is impossible or like this thing should be possible, I try to take myself out of the equation. So I try to give references to other examples, like
Okay.
outside our context. So
Okay.
nowadays, it's not like you're going to be arguing with me again. You'll be arguing with other
Should
people's
have done stuff. Okay.
thoughts, processes, and other people's opinions on the matter, right? So at the end of the day, you kind of find out that oh, I'm actually saying the truth. And one thing I also try to do is that, and I mean, it's always easy to react immediately when someone says this is not possible. So when someone says, "Oh, this thing is possible," I don't argue at that point. I go and do my research. I go and find out, okay, what this person is saying is really possible. Is there a way around it? But if I come back to my research, that I'll obviously find out that okay, this is not possible. Then I give that person like my research. Go and read
Sure.
this thing. Go and check out this thing. This is why this is not possible, right? So that way, it becomes clear to that person that you're not trying to put a stumbling block in the progress of the company or something. It's just that this thing is not possible.
Possible.
So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Um, I think there's a question currently. What's when someone is saying I'm an engineering manager, what is the least years of experience you want from the person to
So I
qualify the
mean,
person as an engineering manager?
um, least like 6 years, right? I mean, today people have like phenomenal growth, especially if you're very good, if you are good at what you do. Like I mean, within 5 6 years, you should be an engineering manager like level or a
Okay.
senior developer level. Which most times you're either leading a team of junior developers. So in that kind of scenario, you are a manager. Also, it depends on how large your team is or how large the company was when you entered, right? So really does depend on so that like some factors. But I mean, minimum of 5 years, right? I don't think anybody would hire or put someone in an engineering manager role if they're not like having at least 5 years of experience. So.
Okay. So qualities are just, is it just going to be like the years of experience? Because I think
Oh
there are
no no no
cases
no. So
whereby
so 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 like so for me, before I became the head of engineering for Saints, I mean I'd had to prove myself becoming like a an engineering manager with a CTO above me,
okay.
right? A team lead with someone above me, right? So basically, that gave me the experience on how to like lead development just
Managing.
one team, one backend team, or something, right? And that gave me the experience. So obviously, if I'm telling someone that oh, I have this experience, all those other little experiences managing people, and even also managing people within my own business has really like contributed. So management experience is also very important. I mean, it might not be you having a very large team, but maybe you are on the back end team, where you the lead for the back end team, and the front end team, where you the lead for the front end team. So stuff like that can propel you to that engineering manager
Yeah.
role. Yeah.
Okay. So in your experience, what are the essential leadership qualities that engineering managers should possess?
So I think number one is insight and foresight.
Insight and
Yeah.
foresight.
So remember, like throughout this podcast, I've been talking about getting context into like what's happening at that particular point in time.
Okay.
So that borders around insights, right? So basically, as an engineering manager, you must always strive to have insight into what is going on. What's your current in engineering terms? We say what's the current state, right? So like, what's the current state of things going on, right?
Around.
So you don't just jump and make decisions from your head without thinking about the current state of things. You need to actually think about it and be very, very sure that okay, this is actually what is going on around me.
Okay.
Then foresight is really about thinking about possible problems or possible issues that might happen, right? So we want to do this project, we want to take this path. Where does it lead us to in the future? Like what are the pros and cons of going down this particular path, right? So those two things are really important as an engineering manager. Those qualities, and I think it's something you build over time, right? Interacting with people, doing stuff, building stuff. You're able to have that experience to say, okay, if I do this, it will lead to this, and also understanding people. So it's more like a technical and also people combination of skills, right?
Oh, okay. So, can you discourse, because you've been mentioning communication, communication, communication. So, can you discuss the importance of communication and collaboration for engineering managers? Like, why is it that important? Because you keep mentioning We all know that everybody needs to communicate, right, in tech space. But why is it like majored on communication for just engineering managers?
So it's very important because it's easy. I know most people when they say tech bro, they're like this person's a nerd, right? And the general idea around nerds is that they don't talk to people. They're just on their own with their laptop and just pressing and what have you, right? I mean, and to be honest, it's very easy to be caught up in all of that, right? It's very easy for you to just be you and your system, right? And you suck at communicating with people. So if you want to transition to the role of being an engineering manager, you need to be good at communicating with people and having that people relations. Like it's really important. So back to your question, like it's very important because by default you don't communicate with people. You communicate with your laptop. So you need to
Sure.
be able to learn how to communicate with
Communicate with
people
people.
a lot if you want to transition into that role. I mean, it to start showing when you're not just concerned about your code, but you're concerned about the general outcome of whatever you are building, right? And that's when people now start seeing that oh, this person is taking lead about on this, or this person is saying okay, I'll be responsible for the outcome of this particular thing we are building, right? But by default, like I said, most engineers are just they and their laptop my code and stuff like that. But if you want to be an engineering manager, you need to look beyond that or step out of that frame, and that's where communication and collaboration comes in play.
Okay, so I would ask this question anyways. Okay, it's more like cases whereby this time around the pressure is not coming from the top, right? But it's coming from the bottom. Your members, right? There's this part of okay, there's this part of they want maybe some benefit or something as like pressures in that case. So what will you do as an engineering manager, knowing fully well that it's not being approved from the top and from the bottom they are just, and you are in between because they cannot talk to the top, they have to talk to you, and you are the one that will talk to the top, and they don't want to hear that the top is not listening, because I've seen cases like that, right? So when this question came in, I just figured it's almost
Yeah.
similar
So I
to.
mean, for me, number one priority is my team. Like I always need my
But
team
you,
to be
if your
happy,
top says no, you
right?
cannot leave.
No, so obviously, like, so this is where transparency comes in,
Okay.
right? When we have conversations that, oh, this is how we want to go about compensation and benefits and the rest, right? I always suggest benefits from time to time. Oh, okay, we need to do this to encourage these people. We need to do this to incentivize people. I mean, I did something like that very recently, right? So basically, doing that frequently kind of creates this mindset among your management peers that it's a cool thing to do, or it's the right thing to do to incentivize people below you. I mean, there could be some very outrageous requests from below,
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
just like as an engineering manager, you just have to shut that down, right? You have to like, okay, this is not possible. Like it's not like be transparent. Like this is not possible. Don't try to do a fizzy, or don't try to like whine the person, right?
About time, yeah.
Be straightforward with the person, because I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's going to have to grow. People that you are going to have to grow, right? So growing could mean that, oh, maybe where they are, where they want to be financially is not where your company can take them to, right? I mean, it's fine. People leave from time to time, but when you're transparent with them, they understand. Okay, this is what the current state of the company is, and do I really fit in here? Or do I really still want to stay here? I mean, it helps your team to make that decision on time.
Okay.
But in
So
the,
I think I want to come in. You had mentioned yeah, people leave, right? So I'm not really going to be expressing it to just you. Like I just would need to like touch on it because of engineering managers that is going to watch this. So cases whereby team members they don't stay for too long in a company, after a while they leave. After, does it really tag the the engineering team or the lead, like it's not he or she's not leading well or something,
no,
you
so
know?
it really depends on why they leave, right? And sorry, just to mention something. So if I'm trying to hire someone, that's one of the things I look out for.
Okay.
If you're the kind of person that you work somewhere 6 months, the next 6 months you went to that place, and that 6 months you went to that place, like I'll probably not, I'll not even read your CV, right?
Okay.
Because like you need some level of stability
True.
in the team, right? I mean, like I said, people will have to grow someday, and grow, and sometimes they can grow faster than your organization, and they will have to leave, right? That's just perfectly normal. That doesn't say that you're a bad engineering manager, the person's a bad person, right? But I mean, if people are leaving abruptly, is either there's something wrong with the company or they're having issues with the engineering
Okay,
manager,
can I come in
right?
here? I think I need to come in here. So there was this time I was actually like in search of job before I joined Sintalai. So this was a question that was asked, and I don't know, maybe I should throw it to you and let's get your response. Okay, so I've passed all the stage and everything, but the question that was asked was, um, if you get a visa and everything now to travel abroad, will you travel?
Wow, jackpot question.
So, and
So,
that brought me to the question of
so
when people are leaving.
I mean, so being an engineering manager where most of the engineering talents are obviously in Nigeria, we know the country is as hard as it is right now. Even you yourself might even consider that you want to jackpot, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, like I said, I think that's part of growth, right? And I mean, of recent, I had a team member that, and that's because of the culture we built, right? If you build a very solid culture, even if someone like leaves or wants to jackpot, they will still want to
To
work with you,
work, true.
right? But if you build a culture whereby you don't appreciate them, you don't
There's
make them
no
feel
true.
valued, then I mean, when they're Japan, they're leaving you for good. They're not going to look back at your company at all, right? So I mean, I've experienced this now, like where my team member doesn't use the country, but still wants to work with
Work
us,
it out.
right? Because of the way
What we
we
do.
appreciate the
True.
person. So I think that's like a good success story.
Yeah, I think I should even commend you on
to
that
get that.
because really, you've been doing a great work as managing the team. Yeah, you've been doing a good work. So far, companies I've worked for, I think I should say, yeah, I should commend you. Not because you are here anyways, but because it's the truth. Yeah, you've been doing a good job as engineer. That's the main reason why I wanted you to talk on this topic in particular because I just wonder how you do everything and how it's smooth. And I've not received this is not this like I don't know because maybe because I hear it outside and you just be like, when will you experience this? But it's fun.
I won't blame other engineering managers that I think it's all about personality, right? Everybody has different personality. It doesn't matter the role that you're in. Like, being an engineering manager is just a title, but who's the person behind that title, right? So your personality might differ from one person to another. Like I said, I'm kind of person I don't have to shout. I cannot shout.
Soft life, boss.
I don't like anybody stressing me, right? I don't like stress. So I rather like openly like I mean it doesn't mean I don't tell you my mind that this thing you're supposed to listen, but I see no point in shouting because like I said, shouting doesn't lead anywhere. Like it only escalates the situation, only makes the person feel bad, right? But if you want someone to self-reflect on something they've done that is bad, if you don't shout on them, they will self-reflect because I mean it's a norm to shout. So when you're not shouting on them, they're like, oh okay, maybe there's something I'm doing
Wrong.
right? So it's a reverse psychology kind of thing, and it works, right? So
Okay. I should commend you on that. You're a good boss anyways. Okay, so I think I have two more questions left. Yeah, you've mentioned communication, but I think I want something that's not communication now. What strategies have you found most effective for bridging the gap between technical teams and non-technical stakeholders, aside communication?
okay. So I think getting your getting people involved in processes. So take for example, we're trying to build something. I don't just add myself to the call. I add some of my other team members to the call. I mean, they might not have so many things to contribute. They might not even want to talk. They might feel like out of place to talk. But because they're in that meeting, they're able to understand the context of where I'm coming from. If eventually we have our own like one-on-one
Man.
meeting or our team meeting, right? So that way, I don't have to say much because they understand what is going on. They understand what's up, right? So that's one way of bridging the technical and technical teams and the other teams within the company, right? So being able to like drag your team members in one or two meetings so they understand what is really going on, right? It's really important.
Okay. This is the last question, but I don't know. Well, I'm going to ask for the public to hear because I'm in the team, right? But can you share successful projects where your team effectively met project deadlines?
So I mean, so one thing about me, which is like my strength, is speed, right? Speed, and I try to drive my team towards that as much as possible. Like by default, I just create that culture, just create that vibe that things need to be get done fast. Like nobody needs to slack behind, no slacking behind, and all. I'm sure you probably know that
Yeah.
already. So like we have projects that we completed within crazy period of time. I mean, last year we had a project that normally would take a team of 10 people to do like maybe 4 months or 5 months, and we're just a team of six, and we completed this project within 2 months,
True.
right? So that was like tremendous speed. I mean, even other people outside the company were like, wow, so you guys did this within this period, right? So I mean, for me, that's the adrenaline I get as an
Um,
engineer, like doing things on time, doing things fast and quick, right? And just getting shit done, right? That's like
but I think
what
it's
makes me
it's
happy.
it's like your person, not even because you're an engineering manager.
Yeah, so like, like I said, my own superpower. Even when they ask me today what's my superpower, it's getting things done fast, right? That's my superpower. Even when I've done contracts, I've done external gigs for people, like they always say, "Oh, wow, this guy did this in time."
Very
Like it's
fast.
just that's just how I've kind of trained myself. to be someone that does things quick and fast, and yeah, I mean, it saves me a lot already and makes money. So
Wow, wow, wow. So I've really enjoyed okay, I think there's a question coming in. Okay. I've really enjoyed the time with Korede on balancing technical expertise and managerial responsibility. The truth about is Korede personally, right? I've always looked at it that where is the strength from? Because you also work, right? You also write code. And I'm like, you do code, you do meetings with stakeholders, you do meeting with us, you listen to our headaches, and it's like, how 24 hours I'm also using is what you are using. I don't know, maybe you have extra. I don't know if you have extra 24 hours.
I
Maybe,
don't have extra
you
24
know,
hours. I think that's why I said speed matters, right? So think about like a simple math equation where you you have 24 hours in a day, and you are spending 5 hours per, let me say 4 hours per task, right? That means you can only do 6 things in a day, right? But if you speed up, even just removing 30 minutes away from that 4 hours, you're able to do more than 6 things in a day.
well, but I
So
think there is this also part of love for what you are doing.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Because
I mean, you can't move fast at something you're not passionate about. Like that's no brainer, right?
because have there been cases whereby throughout the day it's just meetings, meetings, meetings,
Yeah, yeah,
meetings,
definitely, definitely. I mean, being a cycle of meetings can be very annoying. Can be very
and you still have
annoying
to still
because
code to do
you
your
have to get
tasks?
things done, right?
Wow.
So I mean, so one of the things I kind of learned early on, or I had to adjust early on, was that so when I transitioned to the management role and I
Okay.
started having lot of meetings, and obviously like I couldn't code as much as possible. I realized that it's not all meetings I need to attend, right?
True.
You need to be clear to other stakeholders that do I really need to be in this call?
This
It's
one.
something I can just listen to the recording after and the rest. Do you understand? So basically doing that to help you to create that balance where you still have time to go back to your own technical tasks and get it done.
That's the aspect of you managing both your technical aspect and
Yes, exactly. So you don't always have to be in all meetings. I mean, it's very easy to get sucked in that cycle of meetings, calls, and I'm like, okay, can we do this or that?
And I think some engineering managers do that to the point that they just forget about the coding aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it probably gets to a stage where if you have like a lot of people on your team, like I said, depending on the level of your company, if you have so
Okay.
many engineers on your team that you really don't have to touch code, maybe attending most of the meetings is fine and just directing things. But I know as an engineering manager, you have to be in touch with your team. Like you need to know what's going on, right? So you can't just be high up there and you're like, okay, how far are things? Oh, they're fine.
It's
I
out.
mean, yeah, that's what happens where that's what leads to deadlines being missed, right?
True.
That's one thing I found
And
out.
I think I see cases whereby
So
you just be like, share your screen. And you just look, and you're okay, that's where the distance is coming from. This I'm like, hey, so fast. Without even touching the code, you already know where the issue and everything and you're
yeah, because
fixing.
I mean, like your team will always have one issue or the other, but they might not have the strength to speak up to you, or they might not even think of speaking up to you. So if you're not in touch with your team, you
Can
make
mix
some block
that.
them. They'll just be blocked. Like because I think one thing I've learned is that most of the reasons why deadlines are missed is because people that are carrying out those tasks, they are blocked, right? Even to the design team, right? They are blocked because they don't know how this thing's supposed to work, what they need to do. So they're trying to figure that out themselves, right? And they're supposed to like work on where you're on the team at that point in time is to code and get things done, not really to like think so much about how this thing's
Get
gonna work,
them.
right? So your job as engineering manager, if you are in touch with your team, you quickly unblock them because you have the full context of things, how things are supposed to work, right? So, but if you're not in touch with them and you just say, can't do this, and you end up finding excuses or getting excuses back that, oh, it took me, I'm still thinking about this thing. But meanwhile, it's really because you're not doing your job as an engineering manager, right? So it's really important that you're in touch with your team and you find ways to unblock them, find out where they're having issues, find out where they are being blocked mentally and otherwise, and just try to help them.
There are cases whereby some companies, the top up there it's not, let me not say it's not topping, that and the bottom cannot really understand because the top is not. So, and I've seen cases whereby engineering managers themselves have to be the ones who leave, since they just feel like why you putting me there when it's like it's all authorities
I
I
mean,
just download down to?
number one thing for me, whether you're an engineering manager or you're whatever role you're playing in the company, if you're in a company where people are not aligned to Brits, please find a way
Breathe
to
out.
breathe out. Either you leave that company or you just move to somewhere else because trust me, you can never be 100% your best in a scenario where like no matter how hard you want it to be. I mean that's why Nigeria is the way it is today because
Sure.
things are hard. So people are not breathing, right? So you can't even expect productivity level to be so high,
Well,
right? So being able to breathe is very important. So you're an engineering manager, if you're having like management peers that are not understanding you, like I think it's that time you kind of reevaluate do I really want to be in this company, right? And or is there something I could have done better? Like just reevaluate your stance at that point in time. And you find out that there's really no way out. I'll just advise you to leave. I mean, it's hard getting a job in this country, but then again, like end of the day,
sanity.
you need that, yeah, exactly. You need that sanity of mind and that peace of mind to work. I mean, some people are just care about the money, but for someone that's really passionate about what they're building and the job they're doing, things like that are very important. So it really does depend on what's important to you, right? But you just know that if you're someone you cannot breathe, you always complain, and no, but you
The
can't blame
grudge,
anyone for
yeah.
that, right?
Okay, so what about advice to people that are looking towards that level? So persons have years of experience, right? But I realized now that it's not just about the years of experience because I some person based on the conversation we've had now, so persons can be 10 years and still don't have the engineering manager skills to like lead engineering team.
So
So
one thing about life in general and also in your career is that you need to be strategic, right? You need to, and being strategic means that you have a plan. So whether I want to be in the next 1 year, whether I want to be in the next 2 years, right? Or whether I want to be, I mean, 5 year plans are sometimes not going to ever go according to plan because life is dynamic, right? But in the next 1 year or 2 years, where do I want to be? So being having that plan allows you to now be strategic, right? So you start shifting yourself or guiding yourself or putting yourself in some very strategic
please.
position. So take for example, you're in a company and you want to rise up to the engineering management level. You have that plan. I want to do this in 1 2 years. Now in a company there are like projects that are now coming up and ongoing. Before the person above you says, oh, who wants to do A or B? Like you jump at it like
You
I
want
want to
to
be the
do
one, right? Because you've already made that plan and you're trying to strategically position yourself
yourself.
to be seen by people up there, right? It's really important. It's not eye service, right? It's just showing people that you're a responsible person and you're willing to take charge of things, right? So doing that, people will begin to say, okay, next time somebody comes like, oh, I want you to be responsible for this. And that way, when you do the first time, you think it's really good. And when you have the first opportunity, please just do your best. Like just kill it so that next time people always come back and is this person that's going to do this, right? And that way, people above you are beginning to see your value beyond just
A
developer, right? They're able to say, oh, this person has some management skills, this person has some team leading skills. Let's try and put him in this position or that position, right? So that is very, very important. So, but if you're not strategic, if you're just going to work every day, going to code, and you go back home like that, you never move from that spot. That's just the
Okay, but there's
truth.
some persons that just feel I just want to be a developer. I just
I
want
mean, everybody has what they want to be in life.
to.
So,
I just want to be a
so,
developer.
so I mean, being a leader is not for everyone, right?
True.
That's one thing. Everybody has to
Leadership is not
realize.
for
It's not for
everyone.
everyone. So if you
I'll
really,
take this
you
home.
really don't want to be a leader, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. But I mean, like I said, me personally, I've been in that position like my entire life. So I think it just kind of makes me easy to slot into that, right? Like I said, it's not for everybody, right? There's some people that just doesn't want to be like it doesn't
Maybe,
want to be.
maybe, maybe they've always wanted soft life,
I
and
mean, like, it doesn't mean you can't attain stuff. Like, it just depends on what your life goals and passions is about, right? Because being a leader means you have to deal with people. So if you're the kind of person who like dealing with people, you don't like people who are like you're not good at it. People like irritate you. Like, you probably are not the best person. Please don't go into my don't even go there because you end up frustrating people under you and probably even destroying the entire company culture, right? So if you feel like kind of person that you're not ready to deal with people, please just stay where you are, right?
okay, thank you so much for answering all of these questions and really, I've learned one or two from you, because we are also growing on our end, and I'm sure the listeners and the audience, they've also learned one or two. And thank you for your contributions and the question you've asked. And also, you can always still drop your question, and you can Corey is someone that is very free, and you can always link him up on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. But I think you're more on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm
So
always with that
go
person.
to Twitter to always reach out to him, and he's always going to be there to assist you and guide you, because I've noticed him to be somebody that has this love and passion for tech. So anything that has to do with tech, you can just reach out to him. If you feel you want to learn more, one or two things relating to this actual topic or anything relating to tech at all, and you feel he's the best person to guide you through, you can always reach out to him. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to,
Yeah,
because this is an this is an
definitely.
opportunity for them to meet mentors like you on the platform. And generally, what do you have to say to everyone listening as per this topic
Yeah,
majorly?
so I mean, if I'm sure that probably when you join this topic for today, you're probably looking forward in your career where you want to be in the next 1 year if you're not yet there, or maybe you're there, you're just trying to find out how you can handle something going on in a much better way. I hope I've been able to at least provide some little help, because I mean, I'm a man of humble means.
Yes, my boss is very
Right?
humble,
So
humble with great doings.
So yeah, I mean, I really like this is something I'm really like passionate about. I mean, speaking about, I mean, as another thing again when it comes to being an engineering manager, you need to learn to be good at speaking
True.
and passing out like
Information.
information. Right, it's really good. It's really important. That's something I really miss doing, because my early days I was always going for events, trying the opportunity to speak, because I was also running my own business, right? But when I came to engineering role, I'm in the engineering role, I kind of just become
So
separated. So I had to break out of that
tension
of that
and
cycle, right? And that's very important if you really want to do good as an engineering manager. So yeah, I hope you guys have learned one thing or two, right? And I look forward to being on this podcast again. And I feel like you guys are doing a very good job.
thank
I
you.
think most people would say a more fun side of tech with programs like this or podcasts like this. And I think podcasts like this are very important because they talk about actual important things.
Yeah,
Not,
and there's this
not
freedom to
serious.
ask
Exactly.
ask
Not,
things. Just me
not,
asking my boss right now.
I mean, I'm not trying to share that other podcasts out there, but I mean, these are serious matters. These
True,
are
on
things
tech.
serious matters we're talking about here, not just fun or like gist or whatever.
True.
These are really important.
And there are issues that some persons are actually facing.
Exactly.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much. And it's like we have come to the end of today's podcast. I'm sure you enjoy today's episode. But before we go, I want to talk about Learn with Pride Limited. Right? Yes, I happen to be one of the discussion contributor at the event today, and yeah, they are actually on teaching people that want to get into tech. So it's going to be a good one if you are willing to join tech or start a tech career or a skill. You can actually search for Learn with Pride Limited and register with them. They have courses: business analysis, data analysis, DevOps engineer, Scrum Master, manual software automation testing, database engineer, and many more. So you can learn from them. They have great tutors there. So just search www.learnwithpride.co.uk and make your inquiries and register with them. Trust me, you're going to enjoy the tutors here because they're really doing a great job, and they've had alumni that are doing so well in this space. So it's a good one that you register with them. And we have come to the end of today's podcast. Thank you so much for staying up until now. It's obvious we're actually passing the right information to you. And do well to subscribe on our YouTube channel if you haven't. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn at Tech with Hero. Trust me, we always deliver tech information to you and ensure that we give you the best. If you have tech experts that you want us to bring on the show, you can drop it in our comments. We'll definitely get the guest for you on the show. But for now, bye. And remember, I am your tech host, Iro Inkechi Omolola.